Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to Necromunda Hired Guns, your ultimate guide to the gritty underhive of Games Workshop's Necromunda. In this series we dive deep into the fascinating world of hanger-ons, brutes, and hired guns. So whether you're a seasoned gang leader or just stepping into the dark quarters of Hive Primus for the very first time, our in-depth analysis will help you master these valuable allies and assets. And on today's video, we are actually paying a close attention to the House of Blades, House Escher, and specifically we'll be talking about the hanger-ons, brutes that you also can recruit from this unique gang and their very close combat as well as chemically enhanced aesthetic that matches this gang perfectly. We'll be talking about the Apprentice clan Chymist today as well as the Shivver, and we'll also finish up with the brute known as the Khimerix. Now we'll be talking about the fighters' characteristics, their special rules, their equipment, their skills, and also give you our overall thoughts of these hanger-ons, brutes, and hired guns that you could use in your very next campaign of Necromunda. Now, because this video is a little bit more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that we can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most. So that being said, let's talk about the Apprentice clan Chymist. Escher clan Chemists often spend their apprenticeships at the Underhive alongside house gangs, on the front lines, and they're the best ways to concoct and apply toxins, as well as having fighters to experiment on with their elixirs and potions. Should the chance present itself, an Apprentice clan Chemist might also participate in the creation of an Escher Death Maiden, bringing one of the gang's fallen fighters back from the dead. So up first, let's talk about the Apprentice clan Chemist for House Escher gangs. You can recruit up to one of these fighters into your gang and they cost 75 credits to recruit. Now for the characteristics, they do have a 5-inch wound allowance, a 5+ weapon skill, 5+ ballistic skill, 2 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership, 8 cool, 8 willpower, as well as 6 intelligence. Now their characteristics are not all that great for combat, but they have excellent initiative at 3+, as well as a really excellent intelligence cat line at a 6+ as well. In my opinion, this is not the reason why you take the hanger-on anyways. You don't take it for the characteristics. What you take them for are for their special rules. So speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk about that first of all. We have what's called experimental elixirs. Now this is the reason why you take this hanger-on. Basically stacking chems on stems, toxic ammo, or gaseous ammo is absolutely amazing. That's one of the unique characteristics that this gang actually has. And there's a whole bevy of different enhancements you can make to these weapons. And of course, all you have to do, of course, is just pay credits in order to do so. Now, up to 10 credits for the cost for these upgrades is the nice thing about this, because you can reduce the cost of it by d6 times 10 credits to a minimum of 10, which means you can stack up to 3 of these things on a very specific loadout that you want to have all kinds of effects, and it doesn't cost you very many credits in order to do so. In my opinion, if you're not really cooking with chems for the Escher gang, you're not really playing them correctly. So bust out your inner Walter White and actually use the clan chemist in order to concoct some really dangerous things for your gang to use. So when it comes to the weapons equipment, they do have a needle pistol, which is actually pretty good because you could also benefit from the alchemy game mechanic for your House Escher gangs and make your chemists even deadlier if you end up using them on the tabletop. They also have a fixer skill, which is great because they earn D3 times 10 credits in every single battle as long as they're not taking out of action. So potentially you could actually pay for your chemist within a turn or two in a campaign if you actually do that, which is actually quite nice. Now, one of the more interesting special rules that you can get from the Apprentice clan Chemist is the Last Rite special rule. And the idea, of course, is that if you have a leader or a champion, not a death but is killed, they suffer a memorable death or a critical injury not saved by the doctor, you pass the following test to gain a free Death Maiden, which basically you just roll a d6, and if it's lesser than the number of advancements for the dead fighter, they basically become a new free Death Maiden to your gang. With it, basically, they have no equipment, no injuries, no advances of the dead fighter. Now, there's some things I actually kind of disagree with when it comes to special rule, especially the idea of not retaining weapons and equipment, because let's think about that. Logically speaking, that wouldn't make sense. If a member of your gang actually died and you managed to recover the body, right, to do this Last Rite thing, all the armor, weapons, equipment they have, what are you going to do when you bring the fighter back from the dead? You'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, you were dead before and now that you're back, but you can't use this stuff because that was from your previous life or some nonsense like that. See, that doesn't make sense to me, right? Because the idea is that fighter comes back from the dead, they're going to want to use the same stuff they had with them, right? So that's why I have a little bit of a hard time with this rule a little bit. Now, some of the other things, for example, like injuries and advancements, that part I understand because they're coming back from the dead. But for weapons equipment, though, you should be able to use that. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to. And speaking of which, the last rites game mechanic actually can be kind of cool because you can actually use this to build some death maidens in your gang, which is always a good thing to have because death maidens are amazing. Overall, our overall thoughts about this fighter is if you're planning on using clan alchemy at all in your gang, and you definitely should be doing so, this should be your first and probably your foremost hangaround that you recruit for your gang. I would even argue that this fighter is actually more important than a rogue doc on your first go around, just because of the Death Maiden rule that we actually have within the last rite, so you can bring that fighter back if you lose someone early in the campaign. At the same time, using these game mechanics of alchemy to enhance your stims, your chems, your toxic ammo, your gaseous ammo, it's going to give your gang a real strong edge in your campaign. So you should really experiment with all different types of concoctions you can come up with using this Apprentice clan chemist to do it. Shivers and Hive oracles have been an important part of Escher society, and often gangs will call upon their services. A Hive oracle may, if she sees fit, set up residence at a gang's hideout, often operating out of strange, mini-hued wagon or tents, filled with the objects or artifacts of their craft. Between battles, a gang leader can visit the Shiver, hoping for a glimpse into their future. Sometimes these glimpses can save the gang from calamities or lead them into great riches, though other times they may be misleading or even dangerous, resulting in disaster. Alright, so let's talk about the Shiver. You can recruit up to one of these into your gang, and they're a House Escher exclusive. They cost 100 credits in order to recruit. Now, when it comes to characteristics, they have a 5 inch wound allowance, 5+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, 2 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack. They have 8 leadership, 9 cool, 5 willpower, as well as 6 intelligence. Now, the characteristics aren't all that great for combat, although that 5+ willpower and 6+ intelligence is quite nice. Now, even though their abilities aren't really combat oriented, that's not the reason why you take these fighters. Now, they do have the fearsome skill, which is quite nice, which means that someone has to pass a willpower test before you can charge into your Shiver, but it's kind of meh. For the most part. Now, the main reason why you take this, though, is for the special role, which I believe is pronounced Sinai Science, I believe how you pronounce it. Basically, what ends up happening is that one ganger prospect or Juve makes a visit to the Shiver as a post-battle action sequence. So what you do is you roll a 2d6 and you consult a table. There's actually a number of things you can get. One of them is Doom, which means that your fighter goes into recovery. Another one is Fates are Unclear, which means you can reroll any failed leadership, willpower, intelligence tests, which is actually quite nice to have, especially if you're doing in a game where that might be important, because these bonuses apply to the very next battle that your game participates in. You also have another one called Favorable Portents, which means you can reroll ones on shooting attacks and ignore any stray shots, which is always a nice ability to have. A Great Victory, which you get D6 experience point for the fighter visiting the Shiver if they win the next battle, which is absolutely amazing. Always getting more experience points. It's always a fun thing. Then you have Mysterious Stranger. You can hire a bounty hunter for free. Now, in my opinion, this is a great way to get powerful Dramatis Personae bounty hunters for free in the next battle, which is extremely powerful because some of these guys cost anywhere between 300 to 500 credits to recruit, and they have some really powerful abilities, and getting one of these guys for free to help you out could be a really great way to kind of diversify your gang, give you a little bit more punching power in your very next game as well. And of course, we have Fortune and Glory, which means that you get twice as many experience points for this fighter, as well as twice as many credits and twice as much reputation that you can get from your very next battle, which is really, in my opinion, the best ability to get. It's pretty much a tie between the Mysterious Stranger as well as Fortune and Glory. Now, they don't have any equipment to speak of, and in my opinion, they are kind of expensive because they do cost 100 credits, and they are kind of expensive for what they can do, but it could potentially be extremely entertaining to see what ends up happening. For me, the Shiver's ability isn't so much as a competitive type of hanger-on, it's very much a narrative choice to make, and if you're just looking for a really fun way to spice up your games of Necromunda as a Escher ganger, this would be a really great way to do so, because you can do some really cool things about it. If you really want to ham it up as an arbitrator, you can make like Dungeons and Dragons and really ham up the entire situation. You can even make an entire campaign narrative based on one of these abilities that came off from this reading of the Shiver game, which I think is kind of cool in order to do that. So it's, in my opinion, it's more designed for fun rather than competition, and of course that's what this is all about. So just go right for it, get it, and have a lot of blast to do so. Now, there is an official forwards miniature with this, which is kind of a little bit of a downer because it is quite expensive. But the good news, though, is that you get not only the Shivver, but you also get the clan Chymist as well, the Apprentice clan Chymist. So they both come together in one kit, which is actually quite nice, so it's a little bit more doable. Now, if you are playing in a campaign where they want you to use everything official, that could be a little bit of a hindrance, but if not, 3D print, kit bash, convert your own, whatever you want to do with that. House Escher has long and sometimes somewhat shadowy history in dealing with off-world life forms. It is well known that they make extensive use of strange and exotic creatures to fuel their pharmaceutical production, and the fact that it has produced the raw materials for their outlandish costumes appears to be a fortuitous byproduct. Most of these Xenos life forms come from the house's ways illegally, through sanctioned trade with the noble houses of the upper spires, and long-standing contracts or permits allow House Escher ready access to the Segmentum's most illustrious pedigree beast breeders. More disturbingly, perhaps, is the fact that House Escher runs a dark and hidden trade in the creation of new life from the creatures they deal in. Gene-spliced hybrids, flesh-fused chimerae, and other darker fusions of different species are commonly created. Provided that House Escher continues to avoid the use of intelligent Xenos life in their experimentation, the Imperial House continues to turn a blind eye, and so these dumb monstrosities are produced and sold to the gladiatory to entertain the crowds. Kept as attack beasts to guard and protect Escher holdings, and quite often make their way into the ranks of particularly well-renowned Escher gangs, where they add considerable to the status of leaders and champions. Alright, so let's talk about the Khimerix, which is the house-exclusive brute for Escher gangs. These cost up to 220 credits just to purchase the base model of the Khimerix. If you get the fully upgraded, it's 340 credits fully upgraded. So let's talk about this creature real quick, which has one of the most controversial paint jobs in Forge World, in my opinion. The paint job is not very cool, but the rules for this creature are quite cool. Now, when it comes to its characteristics, it's got a 6-inch wound allowance, 4+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, 4 strength, 5 toughness, 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership, 7 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 8 intelligence. Now, the characteristics are actually quite good for close combat. It's very quick and surprisingly very tough with the toughness characteristic of 5, which actually makes it quite good to use. It also has a pretty decent mental characteristic for a brute as well. With that 7+ cool and 7+ willpower, that's actually quite nice. Now, it does have the skills to start off with, which is ferocity, but it can access ferocity, which is quite good. So that's the thing you want to take into consideration when it comes to that. They also have kind of like a quasi kind of crushing blow ability attached to it, which is one of their special rules. It's quite cool, especially when you combine it with some of the upgrades you can get for this creature. It can be potentially quite deadly with its close combat attacks. Now, when it comes to its special rules, they do have the regeneration special rule. Unless it's a blaze, it can basically spend an action to heal itself on a 4+. So you can actually recover wounds that it actually suffered throughout the battle, which is actually quite nice because knowing this Khimerix, it's going to take a lot of fire coming from enemies because your opponent's going to want to take care of this thing quick, fast, and in a hurry because it is quite deadly. And like I said before, they do have that crushing blow ability as well, which adds additional strength as well as damage. And if you combine that with some of the other weapons it gets, with rending for example, it can be quite deadly. Now, when it comes to its options, it does automatically come with a chemical cloud breath, which is a 6-inch short range, 12-inch long range shooting attack. You get +1 to hit at the short range, which is quite nice. It gives you a strength 3, -1 AP with 1 damage, and is also a 3-inch attack as well with the bless template. So if you're looking for a way to have like a short range grenade launcher, this could actually be a great way to do that, which is quite nice. It also comes with talons as well, which means it strikes at strength 4 with -1 AP with 2 damage, and pulverize, which is also quite good too. Now, of course, you could also upgrade this creature with a gaseous eruption breath weapon for additional 80 credits, and what that does, it gives you a template attack with gas, which is quite nice because then you can, your opponent has to take a toughness check on your opponent. You can put them out of action potentially with a really good injury roll. However, though, it is automatically a hit. However, though, it is quite expensive for what it can do, so it kind of depends on how you want to play, whether you want that chemical cloud attack or like something with a toxin trait with that breath template attack. It's pretty much up to you. Since you're putting this thing in close combat most of the time anyways, probably the template gas attack is the way you want to go. The best upgrade in my opinion though is the Razor Sharp Talons at 30 credits, because that means you're striking at strength 5 with -2 AP with 3 damage, which is quite good. You also get rending, which means you could potentially get additional damage on top of that. If you combine this with the Crushing Blow attack, you're striking at strength 6 -2 AP with 4 damage with rending going off. So that could be potentially really game breaking for a lot of your enemies. In my opinion, this is actually the best upgrade to get, so you definitely want to get that one off the bat. And of course you have the Flak Armor, which gives you 10 credits to give you a 6-up save, which is not as important as you might think. Now when it comes to skills, you actually don't need to have any starting skills with this creature. You do have Crushing Blow, that's more like a special rule rather than a skill. What you do have access though is the Ferocity skill tree, which I think is a great selection for the Khimerix. The one you really want to take advantage of are probably going to be Nerves of Steel as well as Berserker. That way it makes it more of an offensive creature. It's going to be shot at quite a bit, which means it'll be pinned quite a bit as well. So having that Nerves of Steel and combined with that 7+ cool is going to be really good for it. Plus having additional attack and close combat Berserker is also great. True Grit and Unstoppable would also make a great way to make this thing a little bit more survivable as well. In my opinion, the Khimerix is actually a pretty decent brute for what it can do as well. Now there is a Forge World miniature, which is an exclusive, so that is a little bit of a hindrance, especially if you're playing in a campaign where everything has to be official, so that could be something you might not go for. Otherwise though, if you're playing a campaign where that's not really much of an issue, I say just 3D print, convert, or Kishbat your own. I mean, there's plenty of monster miniatures out there that you could easily use to proxy the Khimerix as well. And if it comes down to actually using the gang, I say go for it. I mean, you could also kind of stem it with some clan alchemy as well, which means that somebody could actually make some like clan alchemy stuff and then like inject it with this thing to make it do some crazy things. I mean, it could be a lot of cool stuff that you could do with this fighter. So in conclusion, recruiting hang-ons, brutes, and hired guns to your gang could be a great way to have a lot of fun and to experiment with the rules as well. And if you have no idea what to choose for your gang as well, my great suggestion to you would be just to go with the rule of cool. Whatever seems the most fun to you, whatever seems the most interesting, that's the direction you should go with anyways. Necromunda is not entirely a very competitive game. It's more like kind of role-playing where you're just kind of there with, you know, with collective storytelling and just having some fun to seeing how your gang does in a criminal underworld as bizarre as Necromunda does. So always go with whatever's fun, because that's exactly what Necromunda is all about. It's also why it's one of the greatest games ever made, because it's just about having fun and having a good time and trying out new and weird things to see what would happen on the tabletop as well. Now, of course, if you are playing in a campaign setting or with arbitrators or with gaming groups that want Forge World exclusives, it could be a little bit of a hindrance to recruit these for your gang, but otherwise, most gaming groups are not really like that. So feel free to proxy, 3D print, convert, or Kishbash your own monstrosities and your own hired guns as well. In fact, some of the coolest miniatures out there are ones that people just made themselves. And of course, if you guys have any other suggestions of some brutes, hanger-ons, or hired guns that you would like to see on this channel that we haven't covered yet, please put it in the comments box down below, and if I like your idea, we'll go ahead and make a video about it. So there you guys have it. That's good for this video. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. I am Commander Cheapskate. I will catch you guys next video. Peace out and stay classy.